His Motto by Lottie Burrell Dixon. But I can't leave my business affairs and go off on a fishing trip now. The friend and specialist who had tricked John Dermont into confession of physical bankruptcy and made him submit to an examination in spite of himself now sat back with an I wash my hands of you gesture. Very well. You can't either go to Maine now at once or you'll go to, well, as I'm only your spiritual advisor, your prognostications as to your ultimate destination would probably have very little weight with you. Well, if you are so sure, I suppose I can cut loose now, if it comes to a choice like that. The doctor smiled his satisfaction. So you prefer to bear the ills of New York than to fly to others you know not of, eh? Oh, have a little mercy on Shakespeare at least. I'll go. And thus it was that a week later found Dermont as deep in the Maine woods as he could get, and still be within reach of a telegraph wire. And such to his surprise, he found he liked it. He had laid stretched at full length on the soft turf. The breath of the pines filled his lungs, and the lure of the lake made him eager to get to his fishing tackle. And he admitted to himself that a man needed just a holiday as this in order to keep his mental and physical balance. Returning to the gaily painted frame building, called by courtesy the hotel, which nestled among the pines, he met the youthful operator from the nearby station looking for him with a message from his broker. A complicated situation had arisen in Amalgamated Copper, and an immediate answer was needed. Dermont had heavy investments in copper, though his business was manufacture of electrical instruments. He walked back to the office with the operator while pondering the answer, and having written it, handed it to the operator, saying, "Tell them to rush answer." The tall, lank youth, whose every movement was protest against being hurried, dragged himself over to the telegraph key. "It's open." "What's open?" "Wire." "Well, is that the only wire you have?" "Yep." "What in the world am I going to do about this message?" "I don't know. Maybe it'll be closed by and by." And the little young lightning slinger pulled towards him a lurid tale of the Wild West and proceeded to enjoy himself. "And meanwhile, what do you suppose is going to happen to me?" thundered Dermont. "Haven't you ambition enough to look around your wire and see if you can find the trouble?" "Lyman's paid to look up trouble. I'm not." Dermont was furious. Notice that what he was about to say was cut off by a quiet voice at his elbow. "I noticed Lyman repairing wires upon the main road. That's where this wire is open. If you have any message you are in a hurry to send, perhaps I can help out." Dermont turned to see a colored boy of 15 whose entrance he had not noticed. "What can you do about it?" he asked contemptuously. "Take it into town in an ox team?" "I can send it by wireless." Dermont turned to the operator at the table. "Is there a wireless near here?" "He owns one." "You'll have to do business with him on that," said the youth with a grin at Dermont's unconcealed prejudice. It would be hard to estimate the exact amount of respect mingled with surprise with which the city man now looked at the boy whose information had evidently doubted till confirmed by the white boy. "Suppose you got some kind of tomfool contraption that will take half a day to get a message into the next village. Here I stand to lose several thousands because this blame company runs only one wire down to the camp. Where is the apparatus of yours? Might as well look at it while I'm waiting for this one wire office to get into commission again." "It's right up on the hill," answered the colored boy. "Here, George, I brought down this wireless book if you want to look it over. It's better worth reading than that stuff you have there." And tossed a book on the table, he went out, followed by Dermont. A couple of minutes' walk brought them to the sight of a 60-foot aerial erected on the top of a small shack. "Not much to look at, but I made it myself." "How did you happen to construct this?" And Dermont really tried to keep the emphasis out of the "you." "Well, I'm interested in all kinds of electrical experiments and have kept up reading and studying ever since I left school. Then when I came here on my uncle's farm, he let me rig up this wireless, and I can talk to a chum of mine down in the city. And when I saw the wire at the station was gone up, I thought I might possibly get your message to New York through him. Part 2. They had entered a small room shack, which contained a long table holding a wireless outfit, a couple of chairs, and a shelf of books. On the walls were tacked pictures of aviators and drawings of aeroplanes. A 3-foot model of a biplane hung in a corner. Now, if he's only in, said the boy, going over to the table and giving the call. He's there, he said eagerly, holding out his hand for the message. Dermont handed it to him. His face still held the look of doubt and unbelief as he looked at the crude, homemade instruments. Suppose I might as well have hired a horse and had taken it into town. But the sputtering wire drowned his voice. And get on your wheel and go like blazes. Tell him to the rush answer. This guy here thinks that a colored boy is only an animated shoebacking outfit. It's up to you to remedy the defect in his education, see? Thus sang the wires as Dermont paced the floor. I said, began the nervous man as the wires became quiet. Again the wire sputtered and he couldn't hear himself talk. When it was quiet, he tried again, but as soon as he began to grumble, the wire began to sputter. He glanced suspiciously at the boy, but the latter was earnestly watching his instruments. Say, shouted Dermont, does that thing have to keep up this confounded racket all the time? I had to give him some instructions, you know, and also keep an adjustment. Well, I'll get out of adjustment myself if that keeps going up. Dermont resigned himself to silence, and strangely enough, so did the wires. Walking around the room, he noticed over the shelf of books a large white sheet, on which was printed with gilt letters, I will study and make ready, and maybe my chance will come, said by Abraham Lincoln. Dermont read this, and he looked at the boy as if seeing him for the first time. Again he looked at the words, and far beyond them he saw his own struggling boyhood, climbing daily life's slippery path, trying to find some hold by which to pull himself up, and as he watched the brown-skinned boy bending over the instruments, instinct told him here is one who would find it still harder to fight his way up because of caste. Ah! The exclamation startled him. The boy, with phones adjusted, was busily writing. Well, has the partner of yours gotten the message down on his end yet? Yes, sir, and here's your answer from New York. Why, it's only been half an hour since I wrote it, said Dermont. Yes, that horse wouldn't have made it into town yet, grinned the boy. Dermont snatched the paper and read it, threw his cap in the air, exclaiming, the day is saved, boy, you're a winner. How much? Putting his hand in his pocket suggestively. How much you owe me? My help? I don't know, answered the lad sagely. I offered to help you because you needed it, and I was glad of the chance to prove what I believed I could do. I'm satisfied because I succeeded. Dermont sat down heavily, on the other chair. His nerves couldn't stand much more in one afternoon. To find himself threatened with a large financial loss, to have this averted by the help of scientific knowledge of a colored boy, and that boy rating the fact of his success higher than any pecuniary compensation. He had to pull himself together a bit. His eyes fell on the motto on the wall. He read it thoughtfully, considered it, how hard the boy had worked because of that, his hopes of the future based on that, saw the human element in the boy as if he had not appealed to him before, and then, turning something over in his mind, muttered to himself, it's nobody's business if I do. He got up and walked over to the boy and said, what's your name? Robert Hilton. Well, Robert, that motto you've got up there is a pretty good one to tie to. You certainly have studied, you've made yourself ready as far as your resources will permit, and I'll be hanged if I don't stand for the chance. In the manufacturing of electrical instruments, you could have a great opportunity for your inventive talent. And, in my concern, you shall have your chance, and go as far as your efficiency will carry you. What do you say? Would you care for it? I'd care for it more than any other thing on this earth, and am very grateful for the chance. The chance wouldn't be standing here now if you had not had the inclination and the determination to live up to those words on the wall.